with another Facebook Live. This is my third one. My plan is to do one every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I think I'll be extending them into next week. Today, I'll be talking about creating characters. Tomorrow, Thursday, I'll be talking more about creating characters, especially secondary characters. And then on Friday, I'm going to do an Ask Me Anything and a quick tour of my office. So today's t-shirt is my first knife fight. I saw this on a kid at a school visit a couple of years ago. I fell in love with it, and my agent got it for me for my birthday. So, and makeup-wise, today I tried the primer with a different kind of mascara because it felt like the L'Oreal ended up underneath my eyes. So I'm trying Kevyn Aucoin. So let's see, I thought I'd put in a plug for my next book, The Girl in the White Van. That's coming out May 12th. Go ahead and order it now. Who knows when it will actually ship, but it's a book about a girl who is a huge Bruce Lee fan who is kidnapped and finds herself in captivity with another girl who's been there longer, and together they have to team up and figure out how to escape. And it was actually inspired by a real kidnapper who was stalking girls in my neighborhood. So anyway, if you have a question now or later, ask it here and I'll get it to it either today or in a future post. Today I want to talk about how to create a character. A lot of what I'm talking about comes from my own personal notes that I use when I'm writing. And that means some of them might have originally come from someone else and I didn't attribute them. I'm going to try and give credit where credit is due, but I might miss one. So one of the coolest things I ever saw was back in 2004. I was at a writers conference that used to be held in what was called Haystack on Cannon Beach. And this woman who was a TV writer came in with a little earring, and it was a small one. And she said she had found it outside, and she started asking people, well, who do you think it belongs to? Does it belong to a man or a woman or a boy or a girl? And after a while, you quickly realized there was no right answer. There were just answers that you came up with in your head. So she would show you this tiny little dot of a silver earring, and she would say, is it a man or a woman, a boy or a girl? How old are they? Are they single or married or have a boyfriend or girlfriend? Do they have a job? What kind of a job do they have? If not, how do they live? Are they rich? Do they live on the street? And then she'd say, what's their first name? And did they own this earring only once? Or did they have it for a long time and they lost it? So, and then she would say, what does this person who owns this earring want more than anything? And what's preventing them from getting it? And together, as a group or individually, you could start making up your character. So, yesterday we talked about what ifs and who could your what if happen to your characters. So the main function of a character is to make a reader feel emotions. And I think I got this from Donald Moss, who's a very well-known writer and agent. He said that, he gave the example of, what if I told you that there was a car exploding in a field and then it catches on fire? And then I told you that there was a man inside the car. And then I said, there's a man inside the car that's on fire and a woman with two young children is walking toward it. And then I said, one of the children is yours. So each addition makes you feel more emotion. You don't really care that much about a car or even a man in a car, but a woman with two small children. And then, let's see, I need to turn off my messaging right now because my kid is messaging me. A woman with two small children, and then learning that one of the kids is yours would raise even more emotion. So, so again, the reason that you have characters and the reason that a book exists is to make readers feel emotion. So And the way you do that is with characters. So you need characters that are probably a little bit larger than life. I remember reading a long time ago, I was teaching a writing class, and a woman named Lori Thurston had a character who was a counselor. And when she's doing the counseling, she starts trimming, I think, her toenails when she's doing the counseling. And that made the character unforgettable. So when we're thinking about our what if, our plot, and our character, what you kind of need to bring those two things together is to have a name for your character, have some basic information about her, an age, a description of what she looks like, where she lives, what she does, and then you find out what she wants, and then you make her go and try and get what she wants. And if you get kind of stalled, you think about what's in her past and what kind of secret she has. So there's basically two ways to develop characters. One is to plan them all out in advance, know everything about them. And the second is to just kind of put them into action and see what they do when they are confronted with a problem or an issue. Maggie Stiefvater, a few years ago, I copied down what she had put down. She said, "The only prep work I'll do for my characters is to sometimes have them dictate a page-long history of their life to this point in their voice to help me figure out what they sound like. The rest to me is just procrastination before you really start writing. It's not even really planning, because characters you figure out through their actions, through writing. The character sketches and questionnaires and doing Facebook quizzes as if you are them." She says, "It's because you're afraid your novel will suck. So you do all these little tricks and summaries and detailed descriptions of your character's hair and color and birth date and drawings of the characters riding bicycles. And all of this is fine, I suppose, but you and I both know that it'll never get the novel written. Trust me, I've been there, learned from my years of bad not writing behavior." So that's for Maggie Stiefvater. So when I'm working on how to develop a character, some books will say you make a list of all of their characteristics and just do a huge inventory of what they're like. But basically for me, these are the things I think about when I'm creating a character. I think about their background. What are the few important things that have happened in their life before they entered my book? I think about what they're dealing with now, their current situation, the issues that they're dealing with. I think about what are their values and beliefs. Are they afraid of everything? Do they believe that their reward is going to be in heaven? Or are they the person who wants to grab life by both hands? And then I think about who are the important people in their life and how they get along with the other characters in the book. And it could be that they're enemies or friends or lovers or whatever. And one thing that I have found really useful lately is Myers-Briggs. It was something I did when I used to have a day job about 12 years ago. You took a personality quiz. You're either an extrovert or an introvert. You're either a big picture person or a detail person. You're either a thinker or a judger, or a person who operates more on feelings, and you're a person who's either a list maker or spontaneous. And those four things give you a total of 16 characters. 16 character types. And Myers-Briggs was useful to me in my job. It helped me understand that some of my coworkers were not deliberately being annoying, but that was simply their personality and how they operated. But it also helps me think about what was going to affect my characters, especially negatively. Here's an example, an INFJ. So that's a person who is an introvert, a big picture, a feeler, and a list maker, radiates sympathy and fellowship, and is persevering, conscientious, and orderly, even in small matters. Sees values in others' opinions, values harmony to the point of losing their own opinion. Finds it hard to admit the truth about problems with people or things they care about. Sees the goal so clearly, they fail to look for other things that might conflict with their goal. So just looking at those traits give me ideas of how I can use those as possible plot points by giving the person something that is going to make them happy or giving them a situation that is going to stress them out. I personally am an ENFJ. I used to be an ENTJ, which was shorthanded as commandant. So luckily having a kid 24 years ago made me much more of a feeler and much more empathetic to people. So, and I have really noticed my J part, the part that is very list making coming out. I have been making detailed lists with tiny things on them just so I can have the thrill of crossing something out every 5 minutes. It makes me feel better. So if you think about your characters, there's 8 ways to reveal them. One is what the writer says about them. Another is how the other characters look at them and think about them and talk about them. The third is their appearance. Just by looking at how somebody dresses, you know a lot about them. The actions that they do, that they start. And then the fifth one is their reaction to other characters' actions. The sixth one is what they say. The seventh is what they think. And the third is their gestures and their body language. So I think showing characters in action is so important. Deciding what they're like is one thing, but if we don't see them doing it, it doesn't really mean anything. If you go back to Scarlett O'Hara, if I say she's flirtatious and self-centered, that tells you one thing, but if you see her in action, then you quickly understand her. So show, don't tell couldn't be more true here. We must always show how our characters are acting and reacting, not simply talking about what they're feeling. So I think I'm going to wrap it up now. Again, I will be talking tomorrow more about characters. And one of the things that's been super useful for me is to make a list of 10 things that would have my character feel the most emotion. And I choose both positive and negative. If they can't swim, I put them in a small rickety boat or have somebody take them on a first date in a canoe. If they hate loud people, make them go to a noisy party. If they're jealous, let them see their significant other dancing with somebody at that party. All these things can make, if I think of what would make my character feel the most emotions, all of those things could be the beginning of a really great plot, part of my plot anyway. So I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I am putting these on my website, aprilhenry.com, and my YouTube channel. I'm a day or two behind. I'm going to try and get captions into for those of you who are visually impaired. So talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.